What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we will be solving this problem right here. So this problem looks a little bit fun because we don't have that much of a thing to find here. We just need to find this right angle triangle. So first you can pause the video and think about how to solve it, because I'm going to solve it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so first of all, I can name the side lengths of these pink colored squares as 2, because the square root of 4 is 2 and the area of a square is found as the side length squared. So now since we have those lengths marked in this figure, now we can move on to find this diagonal, because the diagonal is lying on this blue square and it's crucial for us to find this triangle. So if you're familiar with the diagonal theorem of a square, you should know that equals to the side length times the square root of 2. So in this case, the diagonal of the pink square should be 2 times the square root of 2. And now, since we don't know the base or the height of this triangle, I'm going to name those two as A and B. So which means the area of the triangle should be half times A times B. So now with that in our mind, now we can solve this equation a little bit more simple. So first of all, now I can write B in terms of A as A plus 2 root 2 equals B. So now this looks a little bit of a crucial equation in this problem, so I'm going to highlight that by putting a box around it. Okay, nice. So now, since we know a value for B like that, now I'm going to try and solve the side length of A, the length of A or B from this side with all of the other geometry. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from this point to this point. Like this, such that this line is perpendicular to this side length right here. So which means here what we formed is a right angle triangle. So I'm going to take it separately to the right side. So here I can easily determine that this black line is equal to the other leg of the right angle triangle that we just formed. So which means we can use this formula right here in this diagonal square formula to find the two legs of this right angle triangle. So we can divide 2 by the square root of 2 to find that particular value. So now we can simplify this 2 divided by square root of 2 as square root of 2. Okay, so just like that, we simplified that expression. So now we know that that length is equals to the square root of 2. So now I'm going to draw another line from this point to this point. So when we form that triangle also should be a right triangle, because we drew this line such that this is perpendicular to the side length. So which means this should be a right angle. So because of that, we know that this is a right angle triangle. But for now, we have to use our creativity to find the other lengths, because we still have no idea about the other lengths. Okay, so now I'm going to take this right triangle to the left side of my board. So now we found the length of this line already through this right triangle, so we know that that length is square root of 2. And the hypotenuse of this right triangle is apparently the diagonal of a pink square, right? So we found the diagonal of a pink square as 2 times the square root of 2. So which means the hypotenuse is that value. Okay, so now since we have two sides of the right triangle given, now we can just use the Pythagorean theorem to find the remaining leg of the triangle. So let's create the equation where this side will be b. Or you know what, since we already have b right here, let's put it as c. Okay, so now since we made that equation, now we can simplify this carefully. So first, in the first term, square root of 2 squared, the square root and the square cancel out, so we have 2. And c squared, we can't change that for now, but let's keep it that way. And now we are moving on to 2 root 2 whole squared. So 2 root 2 can be written as the square root of 8. And here the same thing happens. The square root and the square cancels out, so we only have 8 remaining. So just like that, we formed an equation as 2 plus c squared equals 8. So now we can take the 2 to the other side as a negative 2, so we have c squared equals 8 minus 2. So now we can simplify this as 6. And thus, finally, we can square root the both sides of this equation. So the square root and the square will cancel out in the left side. So we get the value of c, like finally. So then this final solution is given as c equals the square root of 6. So now we have a value for b. And what is that? So now we know that this side right here is the square root of 2. And the remaining part of this side is the square root of 6. So which means b should be square root of 2 plus the square root of 6. So let's write that value down in this board. Yeah, let's put it in the top. So now we have a value for b. Now we just have to find a value for a so we can find the area of this triangle. So for that, I'm going to take this equation right here and I'm going to substitute this value of b into this equation b. Okay guys, so now we can subtract this 2 times root 2 from both sides. So here this plus 2 root 2 will be cancelling out in the left side, and in the right side what we will have is a minus square root of 2. So just like that, we found a value for a as well. So since we finally found the values of both of the lengths, so now we can substitute those values to the area equation. Okay guys, so now just like that we substituted in the values, and now the values that we have to multiply are half times square root of 6 minus 2 times square root of 6 plus square root of 2. So now you have to notice something here. In both of the parentheses where those two are multiplied, we have the two same terms. But the mathematical operation is opposite to each other, and those two are plus and minus. So, if you're familiar with factorization, you should know that a plus b times a minus b. So, we have that same factorization right here. So, a squared minus b squared equals a plus b times a minus b. So, because of that, we can finally simplify this entire expression as square root of 6 squared minus square root of 2 squared. Okay guys, so now the square and the square root in both of these values cancels out. So then the value that we have remaining is 6 minus 2, which is 4. So now then we can just easily multiply half with 4. So then the value that we would obtain is 2. And just like that, we got our final solution, as the area of this entire triangle shaded in blue is equal to 2 squared units. So let's put that unit in here as well. So just like that, we got our answer to this equation. So I hope you guys have fun solving this one problem. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. And I hope to see you guys in another video. Take care. Peace out.